right,
Okay, good
Helene.
morning, Blane.
Morning, Helene. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Good, doing well. Yeah, hey, I woke up and looked at the markets, and they were roaring higher, and great day for stocks. So that obviously is fantastic. So doing well, and excited to be here for today's Trade of the Day live with you.
Same here. Yeah, we're excited to be here, guys. I see everyone coming into the room now.
Yeah, I
Let's
see Carlos. Welcome in, Carlos. Always here. Always love to have you here live. I see
one of our
Roy. I see
regulars.
Jack. I see Brian. I see folks just piling in the room. So welcome in, everybody. We're super excited to have you here with us.
Yeah, we're so excited to go ahead and share our trades of the day. Today's format's gonna be a little bit different than usual. We are going to share our trades first, and then Blane is going to go in and cover some market updates. So I'm going to get started here today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go through my trade of the day for you guys. So I am looking at Microsoft. So right now, if you looked at a heat map of the sectors and their performance today, technology is the number one performing sector. The exuberance there is just very strong. So I went ahead and looked at Microsoft, well-known name, Mag 7 stock on a killer trend. As we can see, trading above both the 35-day EMA, a shorter term bullish trend indicator, and the longer term 100-day moving average, confirming that bull trend and that buy signal. Additionally, we can see that since late April, Microsoft has been trading along that upper Keltner channel in a series of higher highs and higher lows. Had a huge breakout in late July, pulled back into the Keltner channels, and is showing signs of continuing that previous bullish trend. Start to trade higher, see higher highs, higher lows again in the past couple trading days. So this is an extremely bullish setup for Microsoft.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, seeing that chart, that's incredible looking.
Oh yeah, exactly. And RSI wise, it's not currently overbought. It had gone from some overbought conditions, trading above 70 to pulling back to around that 60 range, and then now is starting to go higher again, which once again indicates a leg higher typically. So I'm going to go ahead and I wanted to look at a debit spread for Microsoft. That's because Microsoft is expensive at over $500 a share. Options directionally are going to be extremely expensive. I
Have
don't
to
want to
shell out
break
a lot of capital for those options just buying a call. Yeah.
exactly. So I don't want to break the bank. I am looking at September 26th, the 500 and 510 strike call option spread. I went a week out further than the September monthly expiration just because I wasn't hitting that 25% profit potential. I do want to hit that when possible. So I went a week further out an option expiration, was able to get the cost down on this 10-point spread to be able to make at least 25% in profit potential. So looking at the spread, buying to open the 500, selling to open the 510. It's currently at 785. Anything below 8 points is going to have that 25% profit potential. So I'm going to go ahead and place this trade with you guys now. I'm going to place it at 785, halfway between the bid and the ask, and it's a limit order. So I'm going to go ahead and review my order and place it, and I'll see today if it gets filled.
Nice, Helene. Looks like a great trade. Yeah, as we said, the chart for Microsoft looks incredible. All the trend lines look really strong there. Clearly, the stock has just been on a very consistent series of higher highs and higher lows. Just along with a lot of other mega cap tech has just been really where the market leadership has been for quite some time, and that's only continuing. The chart still looks great and looks like an even better trade opportunity you found there. A nice in the money debit spread has some good upside profit potential, but given that it's an in the money spread, also has the ability to profit even if Microsoft were to pull back a little bit from here. If we get some choppy trading coming
Exactly.
up, so
It was
also
that
a
time
looking
of the
trade.
year, so I'm
Yep.
trying to prepare accordingly.
Sure. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's a great looking trade, Helene. I really appreciate you bringing that one. Always, bringing the great finds. So I have some stuff for the folks too. So I know you had to
Awesome.
get running. I know
Yeah.
you have your couple other things going on. So I'll let you go ahead and sign off, and I'll take things over from here.
Okay, thank you so much. Love being here and playing. I'm gonna let you take it away. So carry on without me.
Perfect. We'll do. I'll go ahead and take over, Helene. I'll see you later. So, folks, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. I have a couple things, just some market analysis, and then I have a trade queued up for you all to go over too. But generally, kind of how we like to often start the calls is we like to just look top down, just look at the index, look at what stocks are doing broadly, and they kind of go from there. So, here, this is a chart of the S&P 500. This is SPX. We can see again, overall the trend in the chart is still firmly intact. There's been no doubt about that over the past, call it 4.5 months. We still have a nice, very strong 50-day moving average, trading above the 200-day moving average. Have that great golden cross buy signal. It's been going for quite some time. The index is trading above both of those trend lines. So, the trend underlying this market still firmly intact. Really, really strong trend there. But, honing in on the more recent price action, that's really what I wanted to talk about today. You probably saw, the index is up about 1%, had a pretty sizable move up. It's continued to trade up throughout the session, continued to trade higher. And we're pretty close to session highs right now. We're just off of them. But, if current levels hold or even just a touch lower than here, the S&P is set up today to set, again, a new all-time closing high. We got that pullback just a little bit over a week ago. We had, very clearly communicated that we were due for a little bit of a cool off, a little bit of a slowdown in trading, a little bit of a pullback. But once we got that, the market very clearly demonstrated that it's very much of the buy the dip mentality still, because you can see what happened right after the dip. We traded down, dropped below the middle Keltner channel there, kind of retraced and reverted back to the mean a bit, but then buyers, they came swarming back to this market, driving share prices back up. And now it looks like the S&P 500 is on pace for today, barring any late day moves today, to be closing above 6,400 for the very first time ever. So that's going to be a new all-time closing high, and pretty substantially above the previous all-time closing high. You can see that the previous all-time closing high was it was just right in line roughly with where we closed on Friday, and it dates back to also this date here. So this was actually the all-time closing high. It was just a touch below 6,400, and today you can see we are substantially above the level of 6,400. So really great action today in the markets. It's very encouraging to see this after the pullback we got, allowing stocks to cool off, seeing this series of higher highs and higher lows continue to build. It's really encouraging to see that momentum, really regain steam, start pushing stocks back to the to the upside. And again, largely the strength has been mostly concentrated in tech. We've talked about that. There's certain sectors that have certainly been market leaders and have been showing rather carrying the brunt of the load for the market. So that's going to be the tech, the comm services, utilities, industrials to a degree, pockets of financials. But it's not every pocket of the market that's starting to participate. But just wanted to cover that real quick. Really great bullish trading action over the past week and a half. Even really encouraging today, breaking out to new all-time highs, intraday all-time highs today, and on pace to set again that new all-time closing high. And again, seeing that really strong momentum starting to rebuild behind stocks. But with that, I do have a trade opportunity I want to share with you all today. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into that now. And so that's going to bring us to our next chart, and it's this one right here. So this chart, you might look at this at first and be like, what am I supposed to do with this? This is just a line that's moving all over the chart. So what this is something that's one of my actually favorite types of charts to look at. It's something called a ratio chart. And specifically, this is going to be a ratio between two different symbols. It's going to be ticker ITB, which is the US Home Construction ETF symbol. So it's going to be ITB, and it's going to be divided by the S&P 500. And so why this chart is important is because by dividing it by the S&P 500, you can determine whether things have strong relative strength relative to the S&P 500 or weak relative strength compared to the S&P 500. So how you read this is, so in this case, our numerator is going to be ITB, and that's what we're dividing by. Our denominator in this case, it's going to be the S&P 500. So how you read this is, if this line is sloping down, well, that means that the S&P 500 is outperforming whatever you're looking at for the relative strength. So in this case, you can see when the line was sloping down here through late May, you can see that the S&P was vastly outperforming the home construction ETF. But you can see that this relative performance, you can see that it actually bottomed out in this trend roughly in the beginning of June. It consolidated for a bit, and then now over the past, call it, roughly a month and a half, we've started seeing some uplift. We started seeing some breaking out, series of higher highs and higher lows in this relative strength chart here. So that is signaling to me that ITB is now starting to outperform on a relative basis the S&P 500. There's a handful of reasons for that. It's largely related to the market starting to price in that we're very likely looking at the beginning of a new series of rate cuts starting in September. You can look at the CME FedWatch tool, Fed Funds Futures, however you like to look at this, to actually see what the market is pricing in and anticipating. You can see, especially after today's CPI report. CPI report came in a little cooler than was anticipated. You can see that the market is now at roughly a 95%, factoring in and pricing in that we're going to have about a 95% probability of a 25 basis point cut coming in September at the next Fed meeting. So that, of course, in the more cyclical areas of the economy, more cyclical areas of the stock market, especially housing, very rate sensitive, right? That's going to be a nice tailwind to them if we start getting a series of rate cuts underway. And that's what the market's betting on right now. And it's starting to show up in the price action. So you can see this, again, this line starting to slope up, signaling strong relative performance of the housing stocks. And so that is how I landed on my trade for today. So this is one of the leaders of this group, and it's going to be ticker PHM. So it's a stock we're looking at. This is looking at the past 6 months of trading activity for PHM. And you can see really to even a stronger degree, this breakout that's starting to happen, beginning roughly in mid-June. So you can see that, the stock was kind of consolidating, during those April lows and throughout May too. It's kind of stuck in neutral. Had really sold off quite a bit from previous highs. It was just kind of stuck in neutral at these, low levels here. But it's, started to build a base. Started to build some support down here. And then come June, once the rate cut hopes started picking up, we see the stock price start price action starting to trade higher again, making that nice series of higher highs and higher lows. This is, an earlier breakout. You can see that we have a nice technical buy signal according to these trend lines on the chart. We're looking at our red line here. It's 21-day EMA. We have our green line right here, slightly longer term 63-day EMA. You can see where they had the bullish crossover right here just towards the end of June as the stock was starting to break out of that base and, trade above that support, start breaking out higher. That I was just talking about. So you can see there's where our bullish convergence happened. And you can see a very clear widening out between those two EMAs ever since then. As the stock has continued trading up, making that series of higher highs and higher lows in the short term right there. And of course, our stock is also trading above both of those EMAs right now. So, a very additional or very bullish additional sign there for PHM. Now, the last thing before I hop into the actual trade for today, if you're looking right here, if you see where PHM, you can see it's currently trading just a touch above 121 per share. Well, we also have our Keltner channels overlaid on the chart, and that's going to be our blue lines here. So you see our upper Keltner channel band here, our lower band there, and then we have our dotted line here in the middle. That's our middle Keltner channel band. I've included these on here because, we're starting to see a very significant bullish breakout in this stock along with a lot of the other housing stocks. So, some serious bullish activity starting to pick up behind these names. It looks like a really attractive trade opportunity, but, still want to be mindful of pricing and timing on this trade. So looking at the current price level, where it's trading, it's inside of those Keltner channel bands. Specifically, it's not trading above our upper Keltner channel band, despite being in a very strong confirmed uptrend. So what that tells me is that currently at current prices, PHM is not overbought according to the technicals. So that's offering an attractive entry point for this trade. It's in a very bullish trend. So now that we've settled all that, we've determined that from looking at our charts, here's the trade opportunity that I found for today. And specifically, I'm looking at the September 19th option expiration, again, of course, for PHM stock. And I've honed in on this call strike right here. It's going to be the 115 strike call. This isn't as deep in the money as, say, maybe traditionally the power trend method that, more, this a little more aggressive. It's a little closer to it's still in the money call, but, it's a little closer to the money. And so it's the 115 strike call right here. And you can see it's currently trading at 9.2 points. So $920 is what it would cost to enter this trade. And so I've gone ahead and plugged this into our call option purchase calculator tool here, just to show you the profit potential of the trade. And so you can see in some of these bigger potential moves here, should PHM really catch on fire between now and option expiration. You can see if the stock were to move up 5%, which, if we start getting more certainty that a rate cut is going to happen, that certainly is possible to see. And, realistically, we could see a move like that in these housing stocks. You can start seeing some, really nice possible profit potentials available by this long call option. So I'm going to go ahead and actually look to place this trade right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just open one contract. And you can see we have a very tight bid ask for this option. You can see it's only 40 cent wide. So that's, very nice and tight bid ask spread. And I'm going to go ahead and submit my limit order at the midpoint price between that bid and the ask. So it's going to come in again at 9.2 points for the contract. Just going to go ahead and submit that limit order right there. Really like this position. Looks really strong. You see it was filled very, very quickly. So just got filled on that trade right there. But that is the trade I had for today, everybody. That is all I had to share for today. I didn't have any other charts. So I hope you really enjoyed today's call, folks. Now, one thing I did want to go ahead and send through the chat. I'm going to go ahead and send it through right now before I go ahead and sign off and wrap up. But we've had a really exciting project going here in the last couple days for our Hughes Optioneering team here. It's a tool, it's a trading strategy that we've been designing and working on for quite some time now. It's completely different than any trading strategy we've ever done before. It's a program and a tool that we're calling the Everyday Income Alerts. It's a tool that actually goes out and seeks out an everyday trade opportunity. It's going to be, a trade. This tool is going to be spotting it close to the market close. And it's going to be, identifying this trade. It has the possibility of profiting whether the underlying stock that it's making the trade on either goes up, goes down by a bit, or even remains flat. And again, it's not a debit spread. It's not any type of trade that we've done before. It's very unique. And again, it's actually spotting one of these every single day. And so the idea behind these trades is that you enter near the close of the day and you actually exit, the following trading day, shortly after the open, in the first couple opening trading hours. That's kind of the idea behind the trade. It's been really exciting. In fact, Helene was actually doing a lot of the trading and testing of this in her own personal trading. And in the last 3 months, she was actually hitting winners at near an 80% win rate. Now, of course, past performance cannot guarantee future success. We all know that. But seeing, an everyday strategy that's, hitting winners at 80% is really, really impressive. So, folks, I went ahead and just signed up, or not signed up, but just put the link in the chat that if you have not had a chance to go ahead and join in. We had a session on Sunday is actually when Chuck sat down to unveil this trading tool and system. So he had the first live session on Sunday. He actually has another one coming up tomorrow. It was so popular, had such a great response. People love the presentation of the product. He's actually going to be hosting another one tomorrow. So if you want to see Chuck talk about this, if you have not had a chance to yet, go ahead and click that link in the chat I just posted there. That way, you can go ahead, get signed up, get the link to attend. It's a free session to attend. It's totally free to come watch the session he's doing tomorrow. So we'd love to have you there. But just make sure, I think this is one you're not going to miss because it's totally unique. Just you could even just see how it works. It's probably very unique from anything that maybe you've ever seen or traded before. It's not just a simple system like, just buying a call or, buying a put or something like that. It's very unique, very tactical, very strategic how this program was set up. So I highly encourage you all to go check that out. And let me see, I see a question here before I go. Colin says, it sounds like you signed up for my weekend newsletter. Thank you so much. First off, thank you for signing up. And so the trades, Colin, they actually come out on Sunday evening. So you should have received your login criteria. If not, please definitely go ahead and make sure to email us at support@chuckhughes.com. And if you have not gotten that, we'll make sure to get you connected and, get our team to send that login info over to you, because at least you can still log into the member website from my newsletter to at least see what this past weekend's trade from Sunday that I sent out, see what that trade was. But the next one's going to be coming up on Sunday. You'll be getting an email sent out to you, so you'll be getting that in your inbox later on Sunday evening. It'll be ready there for you for the market open this coming Monday. So just keep an eye out, keep your eyes peeled for that. But folks, that's everything I had for today. So again, thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate you joining us for these live calls. We really love these calls. We love to sit down and get to do this market analysis with you. Point out what we're seeing in markets, what the charts are telling us, and more specifically, finding these really exciting trading opportunities, just like the ones we shared with you here today. So again, thank you so much for being here. Really hope to see you all come back for the next session this week. We have another Trade of the Day live coming up on Thursday, same time, same place, coming up in 2 days. So see you back here soon, folks. And, again, thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your week and see you here soon. Take care, everybody.